So I thought I'd share another project I've been working on this summer, or that I planted in June. Behind me, I've got a field of oats and alfalfa. Once the oats are cut, they're still green, but once the oats are cut, it should actually be a pretty good field for hunting this year. It borders a gravel road on two of the sides. Just the deer don't feel safe out in the field. They come out, if a car drives by, they run off the field, or if a four-wheeler goes by. We hunted this field as a cornfield last year during the youth hunt, and my son ended up shooting his first buck, a small buck. But we had deer in the field a couple different times on the first night we hunted, and four-wheelers came by and they all scattered, and deer came back out and the four-wheelers came back by and they all scattered. So I was just looking for a quick solution, and I bought online, ordered NorthWoods plot screen. And as you can see behind me, I'm just about 6 foot tall, and most of this stuff is almost to my head. It is August 14th today. 3 weeks ago, this stuff was 3 feet tall at best. I was really worried that I wasn't going to get the production out of it, even though the company does say it grows inches a day in August. So the last 3 weeks, it's grown a solid 2 feet. I've got a big, about 200 yard long stretch of it right here that's all a little over 5 feet, 6 feet in some places. So another 2 weeks left of August, and then early September, I think we are going to be, probably 7 feet tall. My plan for this spot, as you can see the field behind me here, it's got a little narrow peninsula that runs out. I'm hoping to put a ground blind right on this spot so that as the deer come out and kind of walk between this little pinch here, it's about 75 yards across. Be a good spot to have a ground blind, and then in the evenings I can pop out the ground blind and walk back to the road without spooking the deer out of here. So I'll drive around the field and kind of show. In the north half of this field along the road, it's actually done really well, and it's probably close to 8 feet tall now. Other areas, we struggled with moisture this year. This field was flooded most of May along the road. I waited for it to dry out enough that I could get the disc through it, and I planted. I think the first week of June I planted, but that area has stayed wet for the entire month of June. Every time we'd get rain, it would have standing water in it, and it has not done well there. So if you have wet soil or areas that hold water with heavy rains, probably need to find a different solution where it's dry. Even though it's been a really cool year, it's doing all right, and I think it's going to be, like I said, 6-7 feet tall in most places and should serve its purpose. But I'll go for a little four-wheeler ride around the field and show you what it looks like in other areas of this field. I think I planted close to 800 yards of it, about 12 feet wide in most places, 12 to 15 feet wide. So we'll go take a look at it. If I stand up on the four-wheeler, I can just get over top of it in these places, but from eye level, it's doing a pretty good job here. You can see here's where the farmer drove through when he planted and kind of packed everything down and killed it. It's regenerated and came up, but not very well in that particular spot. You can see the whole field out there. And through here's the area where I've struggled with moisture. You can kind of see it runs up this hill, and I don't know, 60-75 yards away, the plot jumps dramatically and gets a couple feet taller. But this here, we're averaging about 4 feet tall, I suppose. You can kind of see it compared to me. It's about 4 feet tall. Luckily, I do have willows that run the gravel road back here, so they do kind of help to shelter me a little bit. You can just barely see my four-wheeler there and the sign on the road. So yeah, it's probably going to be a bust in this area just because of the moisture. Like I said, every time it rained in June, we'd get a heavy rain, and this whole area would be standing water. I tried to plant it out along this grassy peninsula, because I wanted to put a ground blind or a stand out on the end of it, and that would have gave me a really nice way to sneak in and kind of be out in the middle of the field. But just really hasn't worked out there because the soil's been so wet all at least half of the summer anyway. So we'll go down to the north end of the field there and we'll take a look at what it looks like up there. Again, luckily this bank it's elevated a little bit above the gravel road. You can see the gravel road right here. And if I stand up and kind of put my hands way up above my head, you can get over top of this stuff and see out there. But for your average four-wheeler vehicle height, this probably 200-yard stretch is screened really well. So I'm pretty happy with how it's came up on the high and dry ground. And we'll run up here to the corner and take a look at where it's really came up well. All right, so I'm on the very far north part of my property here, and you know, this stuff is 1.5 feet probably over my head, so it's a good 7.5 feet tall here. And it's pretty difficult to see anything through it. I feel like I planted it a little wider down here. And I don't know if the plants do better when they're planted in a little thicker area, but it looks really good down here. You can't even, like I said, you can't see over into the field whatsoever. And it's nice and dry here. We're also on the north edge of the wood line, so I'm not sure when the farmer planted his oats and alfalfa, they turn here, and he might have thrown some extra fertilizer on this area when they made their corners. But it looks really good here. And again, it's August 14th, so it's going to continue to grow here for at least another probably 3-4 weeks. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm hoping it's going to hold up. We're going to find out, if it holds up once it gets frozen and killed. It's going to be very good if it does. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with it. I think I'll try to plant it again next year. I might buy some Egyptian wheat to mix in with it. I've heard good things about that, with the exception of how well it holds up late season. It tends to blow over more easily is what I've heard. So I'm thinking maybe mix some Egyptian wheat with it, and hopefully I can shoot it up a little taller, even though it has been cold. Our local farmer told us that his corn right now is over a foot shorter than it was at this time last year. It's just been cool and wet, which for this particular plant is not good. But again, NorthWoods plot screen seems like it did a pretty good job, and hopefully it'll help the deer feel more secure on my field if they can't see all the traffic on the gravel road.